A lot of you have been asking this. So this video is going to be talking about the new Dutch government's plan, the plan for the new cabinet with regards to migration and how that can potentially affect you as an asylum seeker in the Netherlands. So the goal for this government is to make asylum seeking in the Netherlands or immigration in general just so scary and so difficult that people do not want to come here. And I have a lot of people who reach out to me asking about different EU countries, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Finland, all those places just where they stand a higher chance of actually getting accepted if they come and seek asylum there. So it's a big thing. And the plan for the government is to tackle it at this point, to like make it scary so people don't even come in the first place. Because once they come, they kind of have certain requirements and certain obligations to these people as well. And it's worth mentioning that they're not only tackling asylum seeking here, they're tackling all types of immigration. So whether you're coming here for studies, you're coming here for work, you're coming here as like a labor immigrant, you're coming here as someone who is coming to reunite with family, they're tackling everything. They want to curb down immigration on all levels. So it's not only asylum seeking. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the whole law because it's a lot of text and it's a lot of detail, which I cannot go into in one video, but I'm going to be pointing out 5 main things, which are also the 5 main points that they outlined, and I'll summarize that for you guys. So the first one is they want an exception provision, and basically they have a law in this country, a foreigners law, a Vreemdelingswet, and that stipulates how they have to treat people who are coming here seeking for asylum, just humane treatment with regards to human rights and stuff like that. So they have certain obligations they have to people who are seeking asylum in this country, and those things are well stipulated. They're fixed, they are strict, and there are certain criteria they have to meet. What this government wants to do is be able to, because that law, the exemptions where if there is an extreme situation, unforeseen situation, abnormal situation, they can get exemptions to the law, so they can be free from certain obligations. And what this government is trying to do is show that there is a crisis situation as a result of which it's very abnormal, so they need those exceptions. So then in that case, they will be able to, anything that is in the way of getting them to implement what they want to implement and their policies, they can eventually exempt themselves from it because of the abnormal nature of the situation now. And the second point, which is tied to the first one, is they want to set in a direct and temporary asylum crisis law. And the goal of that law will be to curb asylum influx and crisis at the asylum centers for a fixed period. And that period is going to be for 2 years. So the crisis law would be 2 years. And the thing is, the first thing with crisis laws is just like the corona law, there was like a corona crisis law. It's meant for crisis situations. So laws normally take time to be implemented, like a year or two before it actually takes effect. But with a crisis law, it can start anytime because it's a crisis situation. What this government wants to do is show that, okay, we're in a crisis situation now, basically, so we need a crisis law which can take effect at any time. So you don't know when it's going to start, but once it's passed, then it can basically start at any time. The few points under this asylum law are, for example, discouraging new registrations, and also the right to get shelter will not be guaranteed. So if you're registered in that period, they cannot guarantee that you actually get shelter because it's a crisis situation. Then people without residence permit, as much as possible, even by force, could be sent out of the country. They want to deviate from the housing law. So there's a law or a clause in the foreigners law that states that there's preferential treatment given with regards to social housing to people who are seeking asylum. And they want to, in that crisis period, be able to deviate from that law. So that means it will be prohibited to give preferential treatment for social housing to people just purely based on the fact that they are status holders. If you need a house, they will still give you a house, I want to believe so. But just purely based on the fact that you're a status holder, to get preferential treatment, they want to be able to deviate from that law during the crisis situation. What the period of 2 years also means, and they say this sometimes, Kate Willis said this in one interview, is that if you come apply for asylum in that crisis period, it could potentially take 2 years before they get back to you. And that's something they will tell you as well. And you can imagine if someone is coming to a country like the Netherlands and applies for asylum and you have to wait 2 years to get the decision, that in and of itself is very scary. So I can imagine how that would like defer people to go to other countries where they can get, feedback faster. And that's the point of this as well to some degree. So the crisis law is going to be a period of 2 years, and that period of 2 years, basically, they can do whatever they need to do to curb influx and to make sure that the situation in the asylum seeking centers is restored to normal. The third point is they want to submit an opt-out request from the European Union's migration pact. So the European Union recently reached a migration pact. It was monumental. And that migration pact states that all immigrants coming in have to be processed with a unified system for all member states. And the immigrants who are coming in, whether they're coming in through Italy or Greece, have to be spread out through all member states evenly. So all member states have an obligation to take in migrants accordingly. So that means that they will be well spread out throughout the member states. And there's also a clause that states if you don't take in members, then you have to pay to the countries taking in members, right? So those are two possibilities. So you take in members directly or you pay. The Netherlands wants to opt out because they keep quoting other countries that have opted out before, like Denmark. But then some EU representatives have already responded to this, saying it's going to be very difficult. It's impossible because one, all member states have to agree, and let's see, how they're going to convince all member states to agree with regards to this. And two, Denmark opted out before they had all the provisions in place that they have now. So even though they're making reference to that, it's a different time, it was different circumstances. So it's almost impossible to actually give them an opt-out now. But the Netherlands is hopeful that they can actually get an opt-out from the EU because that's something which is in their main plan. So it's just to wait and see how they're going to do this. But one of the main things I want to do is to submit an opt-out request from the EU's migration pact, so they don't have to stick to the EU's rules and EU stipulations. The fourth thing, and I found this one very interesting, they want the Netherlands to belong to the category of strictest EU countries when it comes to admission rules and requirements. Very, very well clearly stipulated that way. That means, for example, residence permits for undetermined or unbepaalde tijd will no longer be possible. There will be more serious measures to tackle criminality in the asylum centers, and people could be deported for that or denied asylum. Residence permits could be taken back from residence holders, and they could be, deported for that as well. They also want to be able to refuse asylum applications faster if you've been denied in another EU country, which is a big thing, right? And that was not there before, or at least not in this way. And the fifth one, and this one is not very clearly concise and stuff, but they want to take measures to curb all other types of migrations as well. For example, they want to increase the tuition fee for international students. They want to make a numerous fix for international students, so there's a fixed amount of students who can come in as international students. They clearly state that we shouldn't be naive about spies that are sent here to spy on us. As a result of that, we have to protect our knowledge because people could be sent to spy on the Dutch North. I don't get that point, but potentially there are spies in the system who are coming to steal Dutch knowledge, and we need to protect that as well. And the funny thing is there are some clashes with regards to this because, for example, you have one party like the VVD who believes that, labor migrants, people who come here for work are very good for the economy, and VVD is all about the economy and finances and stuff like that. But the PVV want to cut everything. So you have these people who are in a party together and have this, agreement and stuff. But then that their parties on fundamental levels differ in priorities. So we really have to wait to see how the implementation of this is gonna be in effect. But basically, this is what is in the accord. Another thing which is in there, but I think this is already in effect, is that the inburgeringslevel for the language requirements is going to be B1. And then the naturalization period, which is now 5 years, so you need to live in the Netherlands for 5 years to be able to apply for the nationality via naturalization, that is going to be 10 years. So you're going to have to live here for 10 years before you can apply for the nationality in the Netherlands. All in all, like I said in the beginning, this law is just meant to scare people away, and they have said that multiple times. But basically, they have said nothing as well in there about people who have already applied for asylum. So this is mostly going to be applicable for those who are going to be applying during the crisis period, because they want to curb that down during that period. So if you've already applied, nothing is said about you, so it's most likely not going to affect you. And like I said, laws normally take time, but this is a crisis law, so we don't know how they're going to act about that. But I'll do my best to keep you guys updated about the developments in this area with regards to this. So definitely follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, so the algorithm somehow knows that you want to keep updated with this. But yeah, as soon as I have more information about this, I'll let you guys know. Basically, that's a summary of what the new Dutch cabinet and new Dutch government plans to do with regards to migration and asylum seeking. Hope this gives you a little more clarity about that, and let me know in the comment section if this was helpful.